with the aftermath of War of the Machine, we have Tyvar and a new card for him. We have seen how Tyvar has destroyed Coma. Of course, he is a fan of Coma, being an elf and such, but Coma had been converted into a Phyrexian, and it was up to Tyvar to wrestle it in the sea, which is impressive, but apparently he won. And now he is trying to become a god again. Let's dive a bit into the lore of Tyvar Kell. So this guy has a lot of cool powers which aren't really reflected in his abilities in any way. Most of them aren't. So his most prominent ability is to transmute or even create in some cases, which he has only been able to do on the demon world of Immerstorm. But he can always transmute material. So he wears a sort of gold around his body because he likes the look of it. But he can turn that into any other material that is around him. So it does need to be around him, which is also why his ability changes per plane. He also leads elves by example. This is not really a superpower, but he does this a lot. And being the prince of Scamfar really befits him. He isn't really the king. He isn't meant to be the leader of everyone. He just wants to lead by example by leading the charge. Also, on Kaldheim, the most important thing is what stories you can tell about your adventures. And Tyvar loves to praise other warriors as well. He is humble in that way. He isn't humble actually at all, but in that way he is. And he likes to leave some room for other people as well. He also has no doubts about himself. He's very sure, which also meant that, for example, Tybalt couldn't reach him with his doubt magic. His powers changed per realm, so we saw him being able to create more material or let it grow on Immerstorm, but we also saw on Phyrexia that he, of course, could create Hex Gold, which is one thing, but also his metal started to stop the magic of other planeswalkers when it surrounded them, which is also very interesting. And also, one interesting fact is that he can make a troll, which has been underground for a long time, into stone, so it can't move at all, which I found weird, but also cool. So the people on Kaldheim, the elves as well, they love to go on big adventures, and mostly they do it, as I said, to be able to tell grand stories. This is also why Tyvar would love to go on a journey with Kaya, and he did. He even went into the underworld to get the Tyrite sword from Tybalt. And he knew that he had never seen at least a human defeat a demon. But he went there. And later on, he even defeated a sort of demon, or at least a devil himself. Of course, being Tybalt on Phyrexia, even the completed version. So yeah, that's impressive. His brother is Harold, the king, the actual king of the elves, who has united them eventually. His goal is to destroy the new gods of Kaldheim, because the Einir, or the old elven gods, used to be the gods, and they have been overthrown by the new gods. The elves are in two factions, actually, or sort of factions. This is true for every one of the people from Kaldheim. So the green part is the part that is all about strength, about teaching each other how to be strong, how to fight, and how to be, I guess, also stealthy, but also how to be strategic. And then there is the black side, which is all about stealth. It is about poison, because these people they pray to Coma, the serpent, and they try to be like the serpent, especially this black color identity. And then they also like resurrection, and that is like shedding your skin, like the snake does as well. So these people, they love poison, as you see here. The Cosmos Serpent favored us with his venom. As thanks, we sink thanks into those who dishonor the old ways. So this part of the elves is really about the old ways, and both colors actually in their Magic the Gathering identity are. And they pray to this big snake, which is now killed by another elf, which is kind of ironic, I guess. It is also very impressive because before we know that Finn the Fangbearer, which is a legendary human hero, has been able to take one eye of the Cosmos Serpent, and then he became its lifelong enemy. So he made it his life to hate the elves and the snake. Also, now that I look at it better, it seems like it is a lot like what's the game called? Elder Scrolls. I don't know the name anymore. But Skyrim, yeah, the Skyrim logo. But Tyvar, as you could see from his first card, used to be only green, mono green, but now he has adopted his whole faction's identity, which I think is interesting because he got this on Phyrexia, where he really loved the fighting itself and that part of the strength where he was killing people, and he was, well, enjoying it a little bit too much maybe. This really put him, I feel like, in a better spot to lead his people, because they are both sides as well. Also, it is said that once Tyvar used his powers to envelop all of his fellow planeswalkers to be able to go through the Mycosynth, he enveloped them with metal, which cost him a lot of mana, a lot of power. And it is said that Kaya could recognize the smell of Kaldheim air, which is interesting because other planeswalkers don't really let out a smell or a vibe of their plane when they cast magic. Or I haven't read that before. They do when they planeswalk away, but not when they use a lot of magic. And Tyvar seems to do that, so that is very interesting to me. And I wonder what that means. I honestly don't know. But he has also been seen fighting his brother over the crown, of course, of Scamfar. He wanted to be the king as well. But they eventually realized that Harold was a better king, and Harold was actually first able to unite the elves. Also beautiful art here. As you can see, you have the elves here, the trees in which their gods are stuck in. And then, so you also see that there are 7 gods. And then there's the Goma, the Cosmos Serpent, around them as sort of the end of this signet, which I think is poetic. The gods, like I said, were stuck in trees, and we don't know for sure what that looks like, but something like this, I imagine. And they are referenced not often, but sometimes they are. And here, for example, the Elderleaf Mentor, which is the green part of the green faction of the Scamfar elves, goes against these people. He's maybe more new, which is weird for the color identity of green. But he says, our ancestors grew complacent in their divinity, allowing their lessers to topple them. Never again. So these people are more looking forward, but more looking forward because they want to become strong, which is of course green again. Here you can see as well how the gods were bound to their trees, and these trees are supposed to look like people, which these do not actually. But still, they give powers to their people, which is why this gives their creatures death touch, which I also find interesting. But this brings me back to our card that I was interested in, because Tyvar the Bellicose, which is like someone who wants to fight, says today we become gods again. So we don't really see what happens while he is fighting. We don't know who, but it seems like he is going to fight the new gods in order for the elves or the Ainir to become gods themselves again as well. I think this would be a beautiful turn of events, and I think it would change Kaldheim a lot. And I do wonder what will happen to the gods once they are defeated. Maybe some will survive, maybe they won't, maybe they won't be overthrown at all. And I wonder if Tyvar, without his Planeswalker Spark, will be able to do this. What do you think? Let me know, and thank you for watching.